Jared Leto in it, I don't think it could improve things. Oh, did I just
Hey,
go out
everybody.
live? Hey, welcome to everyone.
Hey, everybody. We were just talking about
Sorry.
David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
I actually like him as an actor. I just didn't work for me as a character.
Yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt if Morbius ever comes out, but we'll see.
We'll see.
But hey, everybody, welcome to episode 49 of the Attractions Podcast. What's up? I also learned that I can do this.
Ooh.
Do you guys like that better? Or do you like the banner thing?
Now I feel like we're watching cable news.
Is that silly? I was just messing around before
the other direction.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Fox. Thanks for coming. Michael.
Hi.
Eduardo was first and Alfred was second. Rodney, hey. Happy Sunday to you. Thanks for coming.
Hey,
we have quite a bit to talk about this week. I'm very excited. Let's see. Hey, Brittani and Seth, did you hear new details that were released about SeaWorld Abu Dhabi? No.
Is SeaWorld Abu Dhabi actually going to be a thing? Because I feel like we've been talking about SeaWorld in the UAE for about 15 years, and I don't think we're any closer to one opening. Is there some news that I don't know about? I must miss that one. I'm going to have to look that up after the podcast.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to do the same thing. Now I want to know. Dang you guys. But let's see. Well, I want to see how many people are in here before we get started. Oh, I just heard myself in my own ears.
Echo.
Oh, I did it again. Well, for some reason the view count ticker is just not showing up for me. But it looks like we've got 53 people in here. Someone's watching. Watching SummerSlam on the WWE. How is it?
I'm glad you can multitask and listen to us too.
Is it just as awkward as WrestleMania was? Because I watched a couple matches of that, and like the empty arena with like no crowd noise or anything. It was very strange.
Are they inside the Amway now, or are they still at their facilities? Because I thought I heard they were going to take over the Amway.
Yeah, I can check and see if that has started yet. Let's see, because we wrote about that. Hi, Talia. Thanks for showing up. Matthew, I actually wrote about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched both sides too.
What's your favorite, your preferred great movie ride side, if you had to pick?
Oh, I mean, in reality, I always prefer Western, one, because I got it much less frequently. It was always like a treat to get Western because I felt like I got gangster 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And it had fire. You can't beat fire.
Yeah, man. I have to agree. The cowboy route is the best one. And it's always special. So, tonight or Sunday. Yeah, tonight's thing, SummerSlam is at the Amway.
Okay. Well, I'm glad the building's getting used for something.
But David is also watching SummerSlam. So thanks for tuning in. Well, for a little break from the SummerSlamming. Talia's playing Animal Crossing. You just got it. You're never going to put it down. SummerSlam is awesome. Really like the Thunderdome. Well, that's cool. I feel
considering that we have really gotten to real life Mad Max, it's appropriate that we now have a Thunderdome in Orlando because pretty soon people are going to be, killing each other over, magic bands and scavenging churros in the street, and it's just going to be mass hysteria. So, but in the meantime, we've got
Chrome Eternal.
In the meantime, we've got theme parks to talk about.
We do. So let's get started. All right. If you're ready. Okay. In 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Attractions Podcast. I'm Brittani.
And I'm Seth.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest theme park news, pop culture news, and more. and what's going on in our lives in general. So, Seth, what'd you do
Yes.
this week?
I celebrated my birthday this week
Yeah, you did.
in the best way possible, with lots of sausages at the beer garden restaurant at Epcot.
That
Uh,
sounds
I have
amazing.
not been there in a long time, definitely way pre-pandemic. And I remember it being really crowded and really loud. And there were maybe 4 tables that were occupied when we were in there.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was like getting a private show. The band came out. We got the glockenspiel and the handbells and the big horns and everything. And I actually like it better that they've done this thing called family service at all the buffets. So instead of you having to go up with your own plate and pick what you want off a buffet, they just bring you a big tray with like 2 of everything. And you can ask for more of whatever you want, but we were so full from our first tray that we're like, we're good. We're good. It was a lot of fun. And that restaurant, I'm still kind of borderline about eating in indoor restaurants, but that restaurant is so big, you feel like you're outdoors when you're indoors. And there was talk about socially distanced. There wasn't hardly anyone in there with us, so it was actually a pretty great experience. We had a lot of fun.
Not many people can say that they had beer garden to themselves for their birthday. So,
Right. Normally that would be very expensive to rent that out,
yeah.
but we shared it with just like a dozen of our closest stranger friends. So
Well,
that's
that's
great.
awesome. I'm glad you had a good
What
birthday.
about you? How was your week?
Well, same old work and stuff, but this past week we got a Nintendo Indie World Direct, so that was
Ooh.
very cool. Got a couple indie games. I love indie games on the Switch. I feel like it's a perfect portable home for non-first party developed titles. I got a really great one called Spiritfarer that's like a management sim, but it's all hand drawn, like 2D animation. It's
Oh, wow.
beautiful. Yeah. And then DC Fandom happened, and we watched that all day. And I got extremely excited about DC stuff. I'm more of a Marvel person, to be fair, but pretty much since Birds of Prey came out, I've been more and more interested in DC content and movies and stuff.
I'm right there with you. While I grew up loving the old Superman and Batman movies, I've pretty much been a Marvel fanboy for the last decade.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I've been a fan of Zack Snyder since way back, since like Dawn of the Dead, and I'm even one of the people who liked his movie version of Watchmen.
I like it too.
But like I'm not necessarily on the Justice League bandwagon. I wasn't crazy about the movie the first time, and I'm not really sure that more of it is going to fix the problems I had with it, especially since I recently watched the extended version of Batman versus Superman that he did, which is on HBO Max also right now. So more is not necessarily better for me. But the other trailers that they showed at DC showed off really look great, especially the Batman.
Yeah. Well, should we make it official?
Let's jump right into it.
All right. Let's get ready for news in the queue. With the video, I wish there was sound. There you go.
There's a segue.
There we go. All right. So DC Fandom. Let's just run through all the trailers of the things.
Yes.
So, highlight for me was the Batman.
Yeah, and from what I understand, they're only about 30% of the way done shooting it. So this is just really early footage. This is nowhere close to what the final, but it looks like it's going the right direction.
And it feels like they showed so much, but so little at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I know people had their doubts about Rob Pattinson as Batman.
Historically, people have had their doubts about every single Batman. People complained about Michael Keaton. People complained about Ben Affleck. Every Batman. The only one that I don't think anyone complained about was Val Kilmer. Everyone thought Val Kilmer would be really cool, and he was the one Batman that no one remembers or cares about. So people complaining about Batman, that's fine, because it really looks like they nailed the tone of this.
Before they showed the trailer, they had Matt Reeves appear at DC Fandom, and he talked for like 20 minutes about his influences of the film and like stuff that he was really excited about, what his inspirations were. And he named like Taxi Driver, and I think there was a Hitchcock film in there, mostly like detective, like gritty noir stuff.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I'm already picking up what you're laying down. I like this. And then they showed the trailer, and I love Jeffrey Wright, and the fact that he's in here as Commissioner Gordon, I was like, yes, I love him.
I stuck through season 3 of Westworld pretty much just for Jeffrey Wright.
Listen, and if I'm going to throw out a mild spoiler here, if you haven't played Last of Us Part 2, so avert your ears, he's in the game.
Ooh.
He's like a motion capture performance, and because I was playing through it, and I was like, Jeffrey Wright? What? So he's been busy, but he's a perfect Commissioner Gordon. I don't know if he's commissioner or just detective yet, but
yeah. So it seems like this is kind of like Batman Year 2.
Yeah.
So not quite the Frank Miller, but kind of a takeoff of that series with young Batman.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the middle-aged Batman for a while. So we're going back to early Batman.
I like that. And I like that we're not getting the origin story for the millionth bazillionth time. But I feel like Rob really has like this brooding, sad, Byronic billionaire thing like nailed. He really does. When he was like just beating the crap out of that guy in the trailer, and they were like, who are you? And he's like, I'm vengeance. But he didn't do like the gravelly like Batman voice that we're all so used to hearing. It was kind of refreshing. I was like, oh, you're not going to do a voice. I kind of like that.
It definitely has some brutal action. I feel like each Batman we get says, "Oh, I'm going to be the really gritty, dark Batman." You thought the last one was dark. Well, I'm going to show you. So this is serious kind of emo Batman, but I'm there for it.
Same. Well, as soon as they started playing Nirvana, I was like, "Oh, this is what we're in for here." Yeah, but I'm all in on that one. Wonder Woman 1984. What are your thoughts on that one?
It looks fun. It looks colorful. What I really loved about Wonder Woman, the first film, was not necessarily the action, but the moments of heart and character, and the way that it was, as opposed to a lot of superhero movies, kind of slowed down at times and kind of took you inside what she was feeling. And obviously we don't get any of that in the trailer. We just get her riding the lightning and beating up Cheetah. Is that yes. So we're going to have literal cat fights in this one, which, it's a big budget superhero movie, but I hope that it finds some room for kind of the heart and the humor and the stuff that made the first one so good.
Yeah, I will admit, when I found out that Chris Pine was in this one again, I was like, oh, okay.
They kind of dropped that spoiler into the trailer without really giving you any context. So we'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
I've read some things, but like obviously no one really knows for sure. But I think it has.
Hopefully the screenwriters know for sure.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Hopefully.
Pedro Pascal is in it. I love him. He looks nearly unrecognizable in this role. It's like, I guess I'm just used to like the facial hair and his dark hair color, but in this he's like blonde, clean shaven. He looks like a Ken doll. Like,
okay.
Yeah, but Cheetah looks good. I wasn't expecting a lot. At the very end of this trailer, they show what Cheetah looks like in her form.
Very CGI. It's it is a comic book movie. And they've got some time to work on special effects. So
Yeah. I read that they were doing, for Cheetah, they were doing a combination of practical and special effects with it, but like she's in the suit, I guess, and prosthetics and stuff. So it will probably have like that CG filter over it, but there is at least some real stuff there.
Yeah. It's definitely got potential. It looks fun. And if nothing else, the 1980s settings is going to be fun visually. Just the clothes and the hair and seeing the computers that some of us grew up with. It's always fun.
Yeah. Now this one we were just talking about before we went live, the Snyder cut of Justice League. It's real and it's coming.
Yes.
In 2021.
And it's going to be 4 hours now. So four 1 hour episodes. So it's more of like a mini series. You'll at least have like bites that you can bite off in chunks. So they showed a kind of highlight reel that's a mix of some of the footage is stuff that we saw in early trailers years and years ago that maybe they've restored. There's some new visual, like a new version of Steppenwolf's design, which I kind of laugh every time because I always think of the 70s rock band when I think of Steppenwolf. Little bits and clips. So I know there are fans who are really, really hyped up about the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. And so I hope they are satisfied and get what they want. Honestly, for me, it was of all the trailers, it was the one that excited me the least, just because I didn't see anything that changed my mind about what I thought I'm going to see out of that movie.
Yeah, I watched Batman v Superman back when it came out. I think I was working at a movie theater at the time, and I didn't care for it. I thought it was really dark and stupid. So I skipped out on Justice League. But we have HBO Max.
Yep,
I'm going to watch it. I also read that they're going to present it as like a mini series, but they're also going to have a 4-hour cut that you can sit and watch if you like to punish yourself.
No, there are people who have been really like into this. This has been like a movement, and I'm real happy for all of them, but I would much rather talk about the Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Because I am on the Harley Quinn bandwagon now that I finally saw Birds of Prey. The first Suicide Squad did not do anything for me. And it's so weird that they've got almost the exact same name. It's almost like we're just pretending we didn't make that first movie. Like it was just sort of a dream that you had. This is really the Suicide Squad movie.
That's the one thing I loved about Birds of Prey, because it starts off with Harley kind of recounting her story to you, and they worked so hard to not show Jared Leto's Joker in that movie. Yes. And it was, but then they put Captain Boomerang in it, and I was like, that's funny.
Well, the new Suicide Squad film,
he's in it.
There is like every minor obscure character from Marvel they threw into that. I mean, I'm not the biggest Marvel person. I thought I knew a lot of the characters, but I was like, where did they dig some of these up? And they got great actors to play them too.
The one thing that I did not get to figure out is who is King Shark.
Question mark. So someone will be his motion capture and voice, I guess. But
because they did like a Zoom panel thing, and they had his performer on set, like the guy who did the motion capture. And Taika Waititi is in this movie, but he was not listed in the cast like roll call thing.
Well, he is definitely good at doing motion capture. We know that from the Thor films.
Yeah. So that's where my money is. Unless he is the rumored villain, like the big bad, which is the starfish character thing. It's like a
Okay.
giant space starfish that
Sure.
multiplies and then sticks to the faces of its victims to take over a planet. I read about it, and
I really think that after making Guardians of the Galaxy, that James Gunn is literally the only director that they could find who could make any of this make sense. They're like,
right?
we have this bizarre collection of characters. We have no one knows who they are. We have no idea what to do with them. Here, hand it to James Gunn. He'll figure out something to do with it.
I love that Sean Gunn is just like
Yes.
a rodent character again.
Another now he's a weasel instead of a raccoon. Close enough.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, of course they give him that role. But all they showed for Suicide Squad was a roll call that showed characters in their costumes and their little iconography. And then there was a sizzle reel that was released later on social media, and it looks killer. I did not care for the Suicide Squad 2016. I think that's when it came out either. But this looks great. I love James Gunn. I think he is a hilarious writer, and I love what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm super excited to see where he takes these characters, and more so, I think how he builds on Harley Quinn from Kathy Yan's iteration of her, because Kathy was incredible with Birds of Prey. I love that movie so much, and I feel like she gave Harley like a soul, you know? I really, really loved it. So I'm excited to see what James does with her character.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ironic thing for tie it all back into theme parks is that James is shooting Suicide Squad the exact same time that he probably would have shot Guardians of the Galaxy 3 if he hadn't been fired for old social media posts and then rehired.
Yep.
Which means that he probably would have been able to shoot the footage for the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind active footage, which has not yet been done, which they can't, even if they complete the ride itself, they can't open that until they get that finished. So it adds to the whole domino effect of Epcot forever under construction.
That's good. You should coin that.
Yeah. I'll make a button.
Yeah, that would actually be really funny.
But it all ties back in together somehow.
Yeah. They also showed off some art for Black Adam, but not really much more than that. I'm excited to see it, though. I know
this is something that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has been like working on his whole life. I think he's been obsessed with getting this character a movie for a long time. So that's cool that he's finally making it happen.
Yeah. And then they had a little Shazam 2 thing where they announced the title. It's called Shazam Fury of the Gods. And a funny thing that they did in the panel was the Mandela effect of like Sinbad being in a movie called Shazam. They had him show up at the panel and he was like, I'm in Shazam now. But no one actually knows for sure if he's really in the movie or if he was just trolling. So I guess we'll find out in 2022. But
at this point, we don't even need to make the movie.
No.
We made the meme. We don't need the movie.
I thought that was really, really funny. They also showed trailers for 2 new games. Gotham Knights, which is a Bat family game. Long story short, Batman is dead. We don't know if he's actually dead or not. And then you have Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, and Red Hood trying to keep Gotham City safe. And you can play as any of the 4 or do a 2-player online co-op with a friend and play through this story game. It looks a lot like Insomniac Spider-Man for the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
Looks a ton like it. So I'm like, all right, I'll play that. That looks good. Because Spider-Man for the PS4, I said PS3, PS4 is the definitive superhero game.
See, I'm a big fan of the Arkham games. I am an Xbox gamer, so I have not played the Spider-Man game since the Spider-Man game on the Dreamcast, which I personally still think is the definitive Spider-Man game. That was the first one that let you web from like through a almost open world city.
Is that the Pizza Time one? Spider-Man 2, maybe?
That might be yes. Yep.
Yep.
You know your obscure early 2000 games very well.
Well, since you like that, Rocksteady is working on another DC game, but this one is Suicide Squad. But your object, though, is to kill the Justice League.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the trailer, we don't know if it's pre-render or in-game footage, but basically you play as Harley, Killer Shark, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and someone else, I think. Or maybe it's just the four of them. And Amanda Waller has you cleaning up the city. But then Superman shows up with a pilot of a helicopter that he downed and like lasers him to death with his eyes. He's gone bad. All of the Justice League have been messed with and turned evil, and now they are the alpha target, and you have to kill them. And that's the premise for Rocksteady's new game, and it's set in the Arkhamverse, so it's the same universe as those games.
Oh, that's cool. I'll look forward to that. I love the combat system in those games.
Yeah. They didn't show anything other than this little like story teaser thing, but the premise itself sounds cool, and it's coming out on the Xbox Series X. So
yeah, well, I'll probably have to get a new console if I'm gonna play any of these, right?
Yeah. Well, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League comes out in 2022.
Oh yeah, by then we're all just have implants, so it'll be
play it just like sitting and staring off into space with our contact lens gaming consoles. But that was DC Fandom. I actually really enjoyed it as
now,
like a
did
fan.
DC actually talk about any actual comic books at this event? Or does comic books not really exist from DC anymore? I think they kind of laid off a lot of their
They did. Yeah. What I did catch, because I tuned in mostly for the movies and the game stuff, was that they're resurrecting, I can't remember what it's called, but the publisher that did like Static Shock and their other black lead superhero comics, they are bringing that label back to do new comics and stuff. And they tease like Static Shock TV show, movie, that kind of thing. I used to watch that cartoon a lot as a kid, and I had no idea it was a DC property.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. But that was the only comic thing I could. Oh, and the guy that wrote or directed 12 Years a Slave is writing a Batman comic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That should be interesting.
Yeah, those are the things that stood out most to me. But in the world of COVID, I think DC Fandom was a successful fan experience, I have to say. They put this together really quickly, and it managed to look cool. It had a lot of filler, but what they did have to show was good, and what I would consider equal to what they would show at like Comic-Con or something.
Well, the danger of these kind of things is once people realize that they can do this online if they want to and not make people stand for hours and hours outside a convention building, in order to get in and see a seat, then I don't know if people are going to want to put up with, especially with social distancing and security and everything. They're like, they can do this fan stuff online if they want to and not put us through, because I love going to like, Star Wars Celebration and Comic-Con and MegaCon and stuff, but it's also a pain in the neck. So, if now that they've shown that they can do this, it'd be hard to go back to the old way. Yeah.
And they could even like put it behind a paywall, so you still have to pay to go. But I thought it was interesting that DC, out of all of the conventions that canceled, did this, and like Star Wars Celebration didn't do anything, and it was supposed to be next weekend. Womp womp. But I thought it was successful. I enjoyed it. I wish that they didn't have so much filler, because there would be like points in between the panels that I cared about where I'm just like, okay, this could be where I'm like walking the show floor and looking at all the booths to buy something.
Right. Yes, exactly. That's the side of the convention that you really miss. Yeah.
But I share your concerns, and I hope that it doesn't replace the in-person thing entirely. Yeah. But I think in the world situation we are in, it is a nice alternative.
Absolutely. Definitely better than nothing.
That's for sure. All right. So, in theme park news,
moving right
Flags.
along, half hour into the show, and we're like on note number 2.
That's okay.
Yes.
Six Flags is having Halloween, but in a socially distanced fashion with Hallowfest. Now, this event will have a day and night portion where the whole family can have something to enjoy. During the day will be family friendly, and at night will be all the scary, spooky stuff that I know you guys like.
Well, not all the scary, spooky stuff, just the outdoor scary, spooky stuff. There won't be any indoor haunts or shows, but there will be, I guess, outdoor haunt areas with actors staying at least 6 feet away from you.
And wearing masks.
Yeah,
which I think will be interesting because they gave us a press photo without or with a scare actor not wearing a mask. I am interested to see how that works, but it will be at a variety of Six Flags parks. Frontier City, Six Flags America, Six Flags Fiesta Texas, Great Adventure, Over Georgia, Over Texas, and St. Louis. So
and there's one Six Flags that's very conspicuously absent from that list, which is Magic Mountain.
Yeah,
which is California. All Halloween in all of the California parks is kind of a big question mark right now. If their big celebrations have all been canceled, so if Magic Mountain was to do something, they would definitely have an audience there.
Yeah, I hope those guys get to open up eventually.
Yeah.
But
this does sound kind of similar to the type of Halloween event that Busch Gardens is going to be doing, with the roller coasters running and socially distant scare zones, but no haunted houses.
Yeah. Except Busch Gardens will have shows.
Right. Well, they said no indoor shows. I'm not sure if Six Flags has any outdoor shows planned. It probably depends on which park you're talking about.
Right.
I think that what they have is going to vary from park to park.
Yeah, but we shall keep an eye on this. The event will start in either September or October. The dates kind of vary depending on what park you're going to. So if you're interested and you have a Six Flags near you, check it out. Next up, a sneak peek of Mulan is coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios. Actually, it's already there. Started on the 21st. It's at Walt Disney Presents. You can get a little sneaky peek before you pay $30 to watch it on Disney Plus.
So you are paying $120 or so to go into a theme park for a day so that you can watch an advertisement for a movie that costs $30 on a service that you're already paying how much a month for?
$6.99?
$6.99 a month. I say that really sarcastically, but I guarantee I have a reservation to go to Hollywood Studios on Tuesday, and other than riding Rise of the Resistance and Slinky Dog, like I'll be going to do the Mulan thing just to have some air conditioning for a few minutes, because it's Hollywood Studios is brutal. Anything that they can call an attraction in there, they really need it. It was interesting. There was a report that Hollywood Studios was the least visited park right now compared to Universal, which they say is the most visited. And I feel like Hollywood Studios is one of the most crowded every time I'm in there, just because there's nothing to do. So a Mulan preview, I would go and see it every time. I'm all on board.
There's also some costume replicas and things on display in there. So if that interests you, it's there. I mean,
and you know what? If you haven't done the Walt Disney Presents, the One Man's Dream walkthrough, that's one of the best walkthrough exhibits in any of the parks. So any excuse to get people to go see that, I'm all for.
Yeah. And I will be totally honest with you guys. I'm going to pay $30 to see Mulan. I mean, it looks really cool. The featurette that they released, I think, last week that had Donnie Yen with a sword looked awesome. So that sold me. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. So, well, you'll get my review in a couple of weeks.
And then if you like it, then I'll rent it.
Yeah. So this is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Stranger Things immersive experience that you drive into. It's being created by Secret Cinema, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a UK-based immersive experience theatrical company. They've done some incredible activations in the past, like Blade Runner 2049. They did a Stranger Things one in the UK, a bunch of Star Wars events. Really cool. I remember seeing the Star Wars one on Tumblr or something like a long time ago.
They did a Empire Strikes Back Echo Base one, fantastic.
And they've been on my radar ever since. And when they announced last year that they were working with Disney to bring their experiences over to the States, I was like, I'm listening. But it looks like Stranger Things has got there first, and you're going to get to travel back in time to 1985 and go to Hawkins, Indiana, and experience Starcourt Mall and the Upside Down from the safety of your car.
So this is really interesting because we've got a couple, obviously not with the IP and not on the scale, but we've got a couple drive-in or drive-through haunted experiences going on this season in Orlando. And obviously this is being done on a really big professional level, but I'm really curious to see how these things work. Are you just parked still the whole time and it's like watching a movie or a play outside of your car? Or are you supposed to drive through? I grew up near Great Adventure, Six Flags, and we had a drive-through safari there. And we're always tired that the monkeys were going to tear the roof off of our car, or that you would run into a rhinoceros or something. Because it was like, everyone's a Kilimanjaro safari driver with no training. I can imagine this going really wrong if people jump out of the fog and, come screaming at you and someone stomps on the gas. That could end wrong.
Yeah. Well, my dream would be like a big mind flayer puppet thing, like a giant puppet.
Yes. You can drive between its legs.
Yeah, like you just plow straight through it. From what I know about Secret Cinema, they have experiences where there's like a through plot that you experience, and you get assigned like a character or something when you go that you have to kind of play your part as you go through. So I'll be interested to see if they kind of modify that for this experience. If you're like a member, you're like a townsperson of Hawkins and you have an identity and a character that you have to embody, or if it's just like you're a third person experiencing all of this stuff behind your windshield.
Yeah. Well, I say we take a road trip out to California.
Hey, tickets are only $59 per car and it starts in 3 days. So we have a head start.
I guarantee it'll sell out.
Oh,
even at that price, I'm sure it will sell out.
Oh, tickets will be available on Wednesday. So if you're going to be in the LA area, because it's going to be in downtown LA, do it and then tell me how it is, because I would love to know. It looks awesome.
Take video and send it to us.
Please, I'm begging you. Now this happened over the weekend.
This tonight was right as they are probably in the middle of performing the last show right as we're talking right now.
Yeah, this one made me really sad because I never got to go to Sleuths. And I think one of my first theatrical loves was like murder mysteries.
Yeah.
And it makes me really sad to see this kind of get caught in the clutches of COVID.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Sleuths Mystery Dinner Shows has been a dinner theater that has, I think they've got a dozen or more different dinner mysteries that they perform. They've been in the iDrive area for 30 years now. And the thing, it's a great show, and the dinner is actually really good. Their prime rib was actually excellent, and love the little Cornish hens. But the thing that's so important about Sleuths is that it employed a lot of actors, a lot of even equity actors that you would see in shows at Disney. You then turn around and see that night performing at Sleuths. And, the parks were great for giving people health insurance, but it's not necessarily a living wage. And having a place like Sleuths can really make the difference between some of these performers being able to afford to, have a decent lifestyle and raise kids and families in this town.
Yeah.
And it's just, at the same time, a lot of these same people are not back to work at Disney yet. And they don't have this paycheck from Sleuths, and I don't know what's going to happen to a lot of them. It's really rough.
Yeah.
The domino effect in entertainment in this town could last for a long time. Hopefully, this will turn around and attendance will pick up so that they can reopen. I got my fingers crossed for Sleuths because they're great people and they deserve to survive.
Everything I've ever heard about Sleuths has always been positive, that it's wild and hilariously fun and everyone is super nice. I wish I could have experienced it when I lived in Orlando, but this closure is for the foreseeable future, but that doesn't mean forever and ever.
Right. It's there. Hopefully it is temporary, but it's just a numbers game. They were one of the first places to reopen, and they really tried, but there just is not the business. Locals are going to the big theme parks. They're using their annual passes, but people are holding on to their money. They're not dining out. They're not spending money on entertainment, and there aren't the British tourists were a big market for them, and without those coming in, it's really hard.
Yeah. Well, we send our best to
we love
all
you, Sleuths.
And we hope we see you open your doors again soon.
Yes.
Over at Legoland, Florida, they're also doing Halloween with Brick or Treat, a safe and socially distanced Brick or Treat. Guests will be able to bring their costume kids to come trick or treat at 6 themed trick or treating locations, and all of the team members, employees, I guess they're called model citizens.
Yes, I love that.
It's really cute. They'll be wearing face coverings, either face shields and or a face mask and gloves, so it's relatively contactless when you get your candy. They're also going to have outdoor shows, I believe. Groove and Graveyard and a Candy Coated Curse, which sounds really cute. And they're going to have character meet and greets, which is not a thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Most of the other parks are not letting anyone get up close to their characters. So maybe this will be a meet and greet from 6 feet away. I'm not really sure.
So, to my understanding, they're going to have the characters up on platform style lifts, and then guests will do like a selfie
with them. Sort of similar to what Universal has done. With a lot of their costume characters. Okay.
Yeah. It says all character and performer interactions will be staged with generous spacing and elevated platforms.
And this is going to be something that's included with your regular ticket, unlike a Busch Gardens where it's a separate ticket.
Yeah.
This brings up an interesting question. Are you going to do trick-or-treating at your house this year? We've been debating whether there's going to be trick-or-treating in our neighborhood, or how did you do it?
Well, last year was our first Halloween in this house, and we were so excited because we were like, kids, trick-or-treating, and we bought so much candy, and no one came. No one came. We were so sad.
You got to get on Nextdoor and put yourself on the Nextdoor map for trick-or-treating. We discovered that. I have
Nextdoor, and I didn't know that was a thing, but now I'm going to. I don't know, because we have kids that live in our neighborhood, but I don't know if their parents would let them come and get candy from us, and you don't want to leave a bowl out on the porch.
Yeah, what do you do? You leave a bowl? Yeah, exactly.
Because then some kid is going to be like, and then they dump the whole thing in their bag and run home.
I
don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe something like this, if you're going to trick or treat, that's the best way to do it this year.
Yeah.
Legoland's been doing a bunch of. I know they also had a special where they were throwing in a bunch of things like food and photos and stuff if you bought a package at the hotel. So they're Legoland's definitely trying to keep bringing guests in during this time.
Yeah. I'm really continuously impressed with how they try to maintain their current offerings but make them safer. like the spraying, the sanitizing of the open bins of Legos. For the Halloween builds that they're doing, they're going to have pre-bagged Lego sets, so they just give them to you. And they're still going to have Brick or Treat, which I didn't think that they were going to do because everyone's canceling Halloween down here. So it's great to see them kind of rising to the challenge of all of this going on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Let's talk about.
So our friend Theron took over the photos from BioReconstruct on Twitter and meticulously examined them for our enjoyment of the coaster that doesn't exist.
What coaster? I don't know what coaster you're talking about.
the not Velocicoaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. These rocks that you see here, they're not there. You're just imagining. It's a mirage.
It's all an illusion. This is going to be one beautiful coaster when it's done. For me, a really great steel coaster that's a great thrill, that's enough. But when you look at the kind of meticulous rock work that's, not just the entrance, but seems to be wrapping all around this ride, there's going to be so many head chopper elements. You're going to be diving in and out of all of these. There's probably going to be a waterfall or two, is what I'm guessing. I love that there's already some fake greenery, like ferns, planted in. It seems like it's going up so fast. Plus, we've got apparently what seem to be the vehicles, the trains, spotted near property. For a ride that's not supposed to open until 2021, they really seem to be moving full speed ahead. It's really exciting. But there's a feather in the ointment. There's maybe a little. Has the Audubon Society heard about this? Has the Environmental Protection Agency been notified that there is a raptor on the Raptor ride? I got to credit Alicia Stella for that one. I think she was the first one. Yeah, so there's a family of osprey. Ospreys? What's the plural of osprey?
Osprey?
Osprey-mian?
I don't want to sound stupid.
They're birds.
They're a family of birds.
Big birds. And they've built a nest up there, not once, not twice, but I believe it's been now 3 times.
They won't go away.
They keep trying to relocate them, and they keep going back. And I kind of think that's awesome. Yeah. But I also I don't want like their babies to be born there and to think that the roller coaster is their mother. I just watched a Star Trek Next Generation episode about that. It did not go well.
Yeah, it was quite a chuckle to see that appear on social media. Because their nest, if I'm not mistaken, is like literally right up here.
The top of the top hat. It's like the very peak. And I think that's just them saying, we own this park. This is ours. We're taking the penthouse.
If I fits, I sits. This is where I live.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just a cat with wings.
Yep. But have they moved them again, or are they back? Do you know?
I don't know what the latest was. We need a camera that solely just monitors what's going on that top hat.
Yeah,
see what the latest status of the Osprey are.
If anyone knows, let us know. Get the Osprey cam.
He needs his own. Does he have a Twitter account yet? He should have a Twitter account.
I'm sure someone's made one by now. They had to have, or else we're all slacking.
Someone needs to get that done. Get on that.
But other than the bird, the coaster looks amazing.
It's going to be gorgeous.
Can we look at this right here? This image, if you're listening to the audio version, we are looking at a photo that you can look at yourself on attractionsmagazine.com. But just look at that top hat right there over the water. That hurts me just looking at it. I know it's going to hurt.
And the really exciting thing is that there are what appear to be some serious magnetic brakes right at the top of that hill. And they're positioned in such a way that they could just be there to prevent a stall or rollback. But we know this is Intamin, and we know that Intamin has showed off a design for a stall that's at the top of a top hat. It holds you for just a few seconds, sort of like Shikra does before you go down the big descent. And while it's not been confirmed yet, the mechanism that we can see on the top of that hill would line up with that kind of design. So that would be pretty cool if not only do you get launched at high speed to this top of this top hat, but then you get held up at the very peak of it and dangle face down for a second.
I'm going to throw up. I've only been on Shikra one time, and if you want to see it, it's actually on the Attractions YouTube channel. And going over that stall and just like looking down, I don't really get scared of coasters. Like, I just like them. I think they're fun. But that is like one of the few times I've ever been like scared for my life on a roller coaster.
You have just enough time to think about, what have I done?
Yep, because normally I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to ride it. And I don't have any time for regret, but that will give me time to regret my decision.
Just to say, that's not confirmed. That's just speculation based on what we can see. But that would be really cool. And even if that isn't it, that's a heck of a top hat. You know, the energy it's going to require to launch you up over the top of that, that's going to be a serious launch. There's a lot of serious launches in this thing. And in between is a whole bunch of spaghetti.
Look at that rock.
I can't even, if you look at these pictures, try to take your finger and trace where the track goes, because it doubles back over itself, under itself so many times. It's like a Mobius strip.
Yeah, I feel like I go cross-eyed looking at it. But
I think you're going to go cross-eyed riding it.
Yeah.
Your eyeballs are going to roll the back of your head.
I can't wait.
Yeah. 2021.
2021. I will say I'm going to write it, and then I will regret that decision right here. Allegedly. We don't know for sure. Speaking of new things coming to the parks, a Quinjet has appeared at Disney California Adventure. This is really nice to see because we haven't heard really anything about Avengers Campus because of everything going on.
Yeah, the last thing we heard was that the announced date was postponed indefinitely. But obviously construction is still going forward, which is great. The interesting thing is the Quinjet is kind of a tease for a phase 2.
Yeah.
And I would say phase 2 is going to be dependent on tourism rebounding in Southern California, which is a really big if right now. So that Quinjet might be the closest we get to the Quinjet attraction for the rest of this decade.
Oh man, yeah. I'm sad.
It does look cool.
Yeah, it does.
Do you think that now that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is over, they just gave them their shit back? That's where it came from, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
Just joking.
I didn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I know not many people did either. By the end, I think it was just me, maybe. I think it's just me.
You kept it on the air. I can see where, I don't know. I don't want to think that you're right, but I also am afraid that you're right.
Now, I'm just curious about the positioning of this. This is kind of that if you're facing the entrance of the Guardians of the Galaxy attraction in DCA, it appears to be to your right, going about where the red car trolley used to go backstage, I believe. So I'm curious if there is a new trolley depot maybe built into that building that they've landed the jet on, or at least some access. Because I really hope that even though it isn't going to fit in the Marvel aesthetic there, I hope the red car trolley does eventually come back.
Yeah. I always liked that part of Hollywood Land, even though it's kind of turned into Marvel Land these days.
Right.
But yeah, man, I really hope that we get that big super e-ticket thing, whatever it is. They're so vague about it, but I hope we get that eventually. And Rodney said it's heading to Disneyland Paris as well. Yeah.
That is I was having a conversation with someone about this today. The Disneyland Studios park, or I'm sorry, the Disney Studios park in Paris. They have very ambitious expansion plans announced, and I would expect all of those to be slow walked now, because that Studios park is not, they're not pulling in very many people, even though that they've reopened. The Disneyland park right across the street from it is doing okay, but the Studios park was always about the least attended Disney park in the world, and this pandemic has not helped that at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I was going to, if Star Wars Celebration hadn't been canceled and this had opened on time, I would be experiencing this land next week.
You would be in the microbrewery, having a giant chicken sandwich and a
big
very
old
expensive,
pretzel.
tiny drink.
Yep. And I would have gotten one of those little spider bot things.
And you would have been riding the Spider-Man, like doing like a lot of that, like
yeah, exactly. Pew pew.
Pew 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 pew.
Go web go.
Well, maybe next year this time.
Maybe next year. I'm holding out hope for next year. It seems like things are moving right along. But that's it for me for News in the Queue. And for our main attraction,
yes,
we would be remiss if we did not talk about this. The secret rooms of the tribute store.
Secret. Don't tell anyone.
Secret. They are here, and they look pretty awesome.
Hashtag HHN forever.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of us are in Halloween withdrawal. We're still mourning the loss of Halloween Horror Nights 30. But having this Beetlejuice room, on the one hand, it gives us a little bit taste more of Halloween. But it also hurts because it shows you what the rumored Beetlejuice house, might have been like. And they really knocked it out of the park. If you're a fan of the movie, there's so many little details from the grass, the foam grass matting, like a giant train model, to they've got the Dante's Inferno sign and the iconic Here Lies Beetlejuice tombstone that you can take a picture with. It's all really, really well done. There's even this great little gag as you walk out the exit. They have the waiting room with the severed torso and the guy who burnt himself to death with cigarettes sitting in the chair. And, it obviously the people who put this together know the movie and love it. So the Beetlejuice is getting all the publicity, but let's talk about the suites, because there's this whole room that's got this kind of creepy old school haunted attic vibe. And that is where they have all of these new sweets and treats and savory things that I actually saw executive chef Steve Jason ducking into the little kitchen they have back there to check on everything. He's done it again. He has somehow invented beating hearts. This is I can't tell you what they taste like because I looked at it and was so kind of weirded out that I couldn't bear. But it is like a little gummy jello heart.
Yeah.
That is literally beating and throbbing. And I'm not sure how it's done. I can only imagine that there's maybe a little vacuum, like a hole with some air pressure that's making them twitch and throb. But oh my God, it looks so disgusting. I did get you got a picture right there, the vegan Oreo brownie skulls were excellent. It was almost like a flourless chocolate cake, like almost the texture of fudge.
Oh man.
And the prices are a little high. It's like basically $8 for each of these things. Not when I compare it to like getting a donut from Voodoo Donuts, it's a little pricey. But the Frankenstein Rice Krispie treat and the Wolfman cake pop are just the cutest things. Like you don't even want to eat them because they're so adorable.
Oh.
And then they have glow in the dark donuts, giant donuts that under the black light glow. And
That's cool.
I would love someone to experiment by eating one of those and then putting a black light in their restroom at home and seeing what the results are. Because I know when you eat certain colors, especially dark colors of frosting, it can it goes through you. And so I'm really curious to see what glow in the dark frosting would do.
There's a treat in this lineup that I saw in a vlog, and I want it. It's the graveyard cake, the like big green cake with the macaron on top.
Yes.
I need that. I need it. It looks so good.
Yeah. There's a lot of and it looks disgusting, but what it reminds me of is way back in the day when they did much bigger media events for opening night of Halloween Horror Nights. They always would have this big buffet of severed fingers and eyeballs and different body parts. They were always edible. And they scaled back on that a little over the years. But this reminds me of some of the really creative stuff that they used to come up with for the media events. Except now anyone can spend the money and buy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know how this works. The beating heart sour gummies.
It's such a great trick. I wish I knew exactly how it functioned.
Spill your secrets. It does look really gnarly.
And they've also in the Halloween tribute store, they also recently added to the Frankenstein room an old-fashioned mold making machine.
Yeah.
Do we have a blow mold? Kind of like a wax-like plastic.
Moldorama.
Moldorama. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I got one of those at Kennedy Science Center of an astronaut, and they're very old school. They're very kind of vintage kitsch. And so now you can get one of those with Frankenstein, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah,
I thought that was so unexpected that they added that in there. I was like, oh, that's really nice. That's super old school.
Yeah. And one last thing that they've added is as you come out of the original section of the tribute store and you go in towards the suites in the Beetlejuice section, there's this awesome corridor that you walk through with photos and posters and all sorts of memorabilia from all through the years of Halloween Horror Nights. And you could really stand in that corridor, and if you're an old longtime fan, and recognize characters and people, stuff going back for decades. It's really cool.
One of my friends, I think she was in Horror Nights 22, found her picture on the wall.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she took a picture with it, and I was like, that's so cool. Like, you're immortalized for however long this is open.
Yeah, it's like the Hall of Fame. It's pretty nifty. And
cool.
A tip, the tribute store actually had one of the longer lines in the park when I was there the other day. The line extended all the way outside the store across the street, and they were using the Jimmy Fallon extended queue to hold. And there's not a lot of shade back there. But it looks a lot worse than it is. It only took me like 15 minutes to get inside. But if you don't even want to wait that long, most of the good merchandise they have at the studio store at the front of the park. So like if you want the handbook for the newly departed from Beetlejuice, you can get a notebook with that, or the t-shirts or the face masks, all the really popular stuff you can get right at the front of the park without a wait.
Cool. Did you see any new merchandise, or are we still working with what they had when they opened? Because I know that team members were saying like new stuff would come in at some point.
I honestly can't remember exactly. They've had some additional T-shirts that were new to me. They were kind of like a comic book style T-shirts, and I know that they have the annual pass exclusive T-shirt also. Some things have come and gone. Like originally they had a bunch of stuff that said 30 Years of Fear on it, and some of that stuff sold out, and some of the stuff that came back in afterwards didn't have it. So I don't know. Branding, who knows?
Yeah.
But most of the new stuff that I saw was the stuff specific to Beetlejuice that they came in.
Cool. We love it. It looks so good. I'm so impressed with the Beetlejuice stuff. But at the same time, it makes me sad because if that rumor was true, like you can only imagine, like if the store looked this good, what would the house look like?
Hopefully all this stuff can be put in storage and used next year That's the best case scenario.
Yeah, extend those licensing agreements, please. Universal, if you're listening.
Please.
But before we go, I would like to give a thank you to our Club and VIP subscribers. We have one new one this week, Jesse Gossett, who signed up for Club. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
Your support helps keep this thing going. And if you would like to become a Club or VIP subscriber, you can do so by going to attractionsmagazine.com/store and picking your level of choice between basic, Club, and VIP. If you pick Club or VIP, you'll get your name shared on the show the week after you subscribe. And you can also find our summer 2020 issue on sale there, and our fall issue will be coming soon.
Ooh. And I heard a rumor that there's going to be an excellent story all about the Bourne Stuntacular in that issue. It's just a rumor, though.
Just a rumor. I wonder who wrote it.
I have no idea. Can't vouch for him. Can't vouch.
But if you would, Seth, tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs.
Absolutely. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the UG Series, or my personal account at SKUBERSKY, and check out my website and blog at theunofficialguides.com.
And you can find me at Brittany Tuttle. That's BRITTANI TUTTLE. Yes, it's both funny on Twitter and Instagram. And occasionally at twitch.tv/BritPlays. And you can also check out both of our work on attractionsmagazine.com, at Attractions on Twitter, at Attractions Magazine on Instagram, and of course, youtube.com/attractionsmagazine, where you can also watch the video version of this podcast if you would like that kind of thing. And see our lovely faces. Oh, man. But
on that note,
until next time, I hope you stay safe and have fun. We'll see you guys next time.
See you soon.
Bye, everybody. Bye.